If you want to know my top 5 picks for our Colourpop eyeshadow palettes and which is best for who, then please keep on watching. Hello my friends, my name is Alicia. If this is your first time clicking, thank you so much for doing so. Kinky Sweat represents my kinky hair and sweat life. I'm a fitness professional who loves beauty, and here on my channel you'll find makeup tutorials, movement, flexibility guides, and much more. You can follow my daily movement musings on Instagram. And if you live in NYC and wish to visit any of my classes, that schedule and any pop-up event info can be found on my website. Colourpop 26. Actually, this is more than 26 because a few of these in here are discontinued, so we're just not going to look at those. But out of the 26 palettes that are currently now available on Colourpop.com, I will pick out my 5 must-haves. This was hard. I said, wow, maybe you should do 10. And I'm like, no, that's cheating. Buckle it down and get to it. And I also had to remove myself out of myself, because I love color and I love certain color stories, but I said, Alicia, if you are someone that just likes browns or just needs a neutral palette, or someone who does love color, I'm trying to hit the whole spectrum of interest in terms of Colourpop eyeshadow palettes and who I think will benefit the best from what color story and whatnot. I'll also share a few favorites of mine that I had a hard time deciding between, so you can kind of see which one was in my realm of decision making. But I'm going to just show 5. I will just present 5 and a little bit more in between, and maybe this will help you guide your decision in purchasing a Colourpop eyeshadow palette. If you're overwhelmed by the eyeshadow page on their website and you're like, whoa, which one is which, what, hello, excuse me, help, then this video is for you. Palette number 1, I will have to go with I Think I Love You. The I Think I Love You palette was one of their first eyeshadow palettes to release. This is still currently in stock. $16 for 12 shades is no fuss. There's no mirror in here, but let me tell you something. If you're looking for an all neutral palette that teeters between neutral and cool, then I Think I Love You is a perfect choice. You have your really nice transition browns here, and then you have a simple black if you want to smoke it up for an event or a date or wherever you want to smoke it up for. But then you have your other browns here that you can create really beautiful daily looks with, as well as traditional standout colors you could wear on the lid, like your gold. You can't go wrong with the gold. You have your bronze, your copper, you have your champagne highlight you could apply on your brow bone or inner corner. You have alternate shades you can do that with as well if you don't want to go champagne and you want to go more pinky nude. And again, this is a beautiful color you can use on its own to smoke the whole lid with. If you didn't want to use a matte that day and you just wanted to apply this shade right here, I mean, look how rich and shiny that shade is, and you see it's beautifully smooth and really easy to blend throughout your crease, lid, and under the lash line. That could be your one eyeshadow look color for the day. And again, anytime you have a black in a palette, you just have a wider spectrum of choice in terms of where you can take your eye look. Really smoky, or like not so much but just enough, or just a touch. And I feel, again, you could achieve it with I Think I Love You. And these shadows are phenomenal in terms of blending. I feel you could hit a wide spectrum of skin tones with this color story, and it's easy to use. I feel this is optimal for the person who just wants to dip into neutrals. You know, maybe they're not ready for the color stuff, or they're just not into that and they want their browns, their blacks, their bronzers, coppers, and golds. You have it all in I Think I Love You. I will say the other palette I was considering was Double Entendre. This is definitely more warm tone, but I went with I Think I Love You because I feel it's more neutral, and I feel neutral kind of spikes more interest across the board than warm. Like, you have to be into warm browns to like Double Entendre. This is like a one and done type of palette. You can create lots of looks from this, but I have another brown palette that I think knocks this out of the park, and is not even a 12-pan palette, it's a 9-pan palette. And is actually what I have on my eyes today. It is the Karrueche Collab Brown Sugar eyeshadow palette. I was shocked. Well, no, let me start from the beginning. When I saw this initially, I thought, oh, another brown palette. Like, what more could we need from browns? Shame on me. This is beautifully laid out. First of all, 9 shadows for $12. with a full-sized edge-to-edge mirror. This is still available on the Colourpop website, and I have to say, although it's only 9 shades and initially you see mostly brown, it's the different tone of brown that I feel sets this apart from a typical brown warm eyeshadow palette. Yes, you got the orangey brown here, but then you have this cool tone transition shade that I use on my crease today. I used Jamocha with henna. It's like this charcoal brown color that I just like to dip into sometimes, and I feel a lot of us do. If we don't want just the typical warm brown eyeshadow intense color that we see a lot of, you can use henna for that purpose, or maybe go a little more red, or maybe you go a little more traditional brown with sorrel. And you have Sauté, which is what I have on my lids here. Just a nice duochrome to have fun with. It's not your typical copper or bronze. It has like that blue shift to it. It's really great, and I feel a nice escape from, again, the neutral layout that we see a lot of. You still have your champagne shade here for your inner corner or brow bone highlight. You have this spectacular shade that, again, you can kind of use like we saw in I Think I Love You all over the crease, lid, and lower lash line. And if you're not into 12 shadows, you just have the 9. And this, I feel, is really comprehensive in terms of the looks you could achieve with it. Daily friendly, super smoky, out evening, somewhere in between, and the colors are rich. Again, I know it's copper, I know it's blah, but because of henna and Sauté, these two colors kick it up a notch in terms of interest for me. So this is one I highly recommend. The blendability is outrageously good. The color saturation is bomb, and it's such a joy to use. I love dipping into brown sugar, and I actually took this with me to my trip to Houston with my girls, and I used this eyeshadow palette on a number of different skin tones, and they were all beautiful looks. So I would definitely pick this up. It is definitely a must-have from all the Colourpop eyeshadow palettes that I have used. Ooh, wait, hold on. I gotta make sure. I have to make sure it's still available because I get carried away and I'm gonna tell you lies. Next one up, I believe this released fall 2018. I don't remember. I think it was the Good Sport eyeshadow palette. First of all, the packaging just yelled Lisa Frank for me. When I just saw this collection released, I was like, oh my god. Multicolored leopard anything, come my way. I like to consider this the alternative neutral palette. I say that because initially you see these shades and you're like, whoa, those are bold, a little too crazy. Not so. Especially these two here. We have Reckless and Flow. Reckless and Flow, initially you see them and say, that's too purple, I don't think I can handle it. No, especially Sista, oh my goodness. These are plum tones. They're not your typical purple that we see. And I feel if you're more violet, magenta, plum, you can get away with it as a daily friendly look. I know it sounds nuts, and I also feel we gotta get away from that security blanket of the brown transition shade to lead us into another color. Don't do it. You have your transition brown here. You have your transition brown here. You could also mix it up with Reckless to get that deeper intensity on the outer V, or you could apply it with Hooky to make it more orange, warm terracotta. Just go in straight with Flow. Don't worry about it. Blend Flow into your crease. Put in Sista, maybe a little bit of Reckless to add intensity, and this shade, Rookie. Rookie is like a copper rose gold base with blue flecks in it. It is so gorgeous. And again, I'll swatch Sista for you. This is such a beautiful matte. It's so much fun, and don't be afraid of it being like too out there. It won't be. Again, use Flow as your transition shade. If you go with high hopes, this brown shade. What I found when using a brown transition shade and then using a colorful medium transition shade, it tends to get muddy. I like, and I know I said I'm taking myself out of myself, but hold on for a minute. If you want an eye look to appear truly whatever color you're looking to achieve, you have to start with the transition shade within that color story. If you want your eye look to look like Sista, then you have to stay within the realm of what the Sista color offers, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I would go in with Flow right away. Don't worry about it. Blend it into your crease, and once everything is blended, it's gonna look so cohesive and daily friendly. You're not even gonna be ready for it. But you also have like this olive matte here. We have Trophies. Oh my gosh, this all over your crease, gorgeous. And then you could go in with Ebb. Ebb is a sickening olive metallic. Look how shiny that is. That is so beautiful. And dare I say, Trophies, even though I say olive, is more like a brown olive. So if you wanted to, again, go in with high hopes and then with Trophies, if you had to go that route, is fine. But you'll be locked down with this palette. It's so much fun. It's different, I feel. You have a lot of different mattes here that are not your typical neutral shades that you see. And again, even though it looks bold from the get-go, I like to think of it alternate neutral palette that you can still have fun with, but not feel like you're gonna be so outrageously out there and out of place if you're not comfortable using these shades typically. I love Good Sport. This was a nice surprise for me. I highly recommend this palette because, again, I love the color story. I love the shades across the board. I love the equal amounts of mattes, more or less, to metallics. So you have a lot of room here to play and just to use other shades that you wouldn't use maybe on your lower lash line or on your inner corner, that you could have a little bit more fun with, like a super gold shade or like a super metallic lime olive shade. So again, have fun with Good Sport. If you have this already, let me know how you've been liking it, but I love it. We got clean forearms, yay! This next one was tough. I was deciding between the Makeup Shayla Perception collab and the I Love Saturday E Through My Eyes collab. This was hard because I love them both. But the reason I chose the one that I did to be my number 4 was because I thought it took a little more risk in the color story but still remained user-friendly. And I have to go with I Love Saturday E. That's debatable. You can say what you want. I'm not saying you should discredit Perception. I'll still talk about Perception because I think that's an extraordinary palette. Is it still available? That's the question. It is. Both of these palettes retail for $24 and they both have a mirror. We're looking at 16 eyeshadows. That's not bad for $24 and you get the mirror. You know what I'm saying? The reason I chose Through My Eyes, and this has nothing to do with me liking one influencer more than the other, I generally loved this color story. I actually featured this palette in it might have been my December favorites. I just, you know what? Your imagination just flies when you see this color layout. You still have this beautiful mustard yellow, you still have your beige transition shade, but you just have other transition shades that are not your typical brown. Especially if, I don't know, if you choose to buy all these 5 palettes from this recommendation video, if you have I Think I Love You, what more brown transition do you need? You're fine. You got I Think I Love You. So you got Nostalgia, which is a beautiful mauve rose transition shade that you can use. Divina I felt was the weakest eyeshadow out of the bunch, but it's buildable if you just give it a little bit of time. Maybe use a dense packer brush to get the color on there fast, namely your outer V and your inner V if you like to go that route, and it will build. But this, I feel, is such a beautiful intensity shade to have than your typical deep brown or just black, right? Misbehave, beautiful like plummy magenta shade. Lomo, oh my god, you cannot ignore this. This is like a satin hot coral shade that just looks gorgeous on the lid, on the lower lash line. Emerald Dream, to die for. Look at that shine. It's so pretty. I actually have a 3-look video on my channel using this palette, so if you want to head over just to see the different looks I came up with using these shades, then I'll see you later. But Moody, I love. It's just great to have this type of color matte in a palette just to create like that all green look. You know what I mean? Because again, if we see like a color like emerald green or like a blue color, we'll first go in with the brown and the transition shade. Like, no. Commit to the green. Go in with the green matte or some type of green matte to make that standout metallic shade look that shade on your lid. It's like, it's the way to go. You got to do it. Flex, I feel, is so much fun. It's like a silvery lavender duochrome situation. Muse, I mean, you can't go wrong with like a coppery bronze shade. It's in the palette, so if you need one, it's in there. Nostalgia, I love mauves. I am partial to mauves, and I feel like they're so good to have just to mix it up, right? So if you don't want to go neutral brown, if you have brown sugar, you want to take a break from the browns in the brown sugar palette, then you could go more rose, magenta, plum with this palette. Wild Soul, oh, Wild Soul is so beautiful. I love these types of marigold mustard mattes. They're just so nice to have, and just a different route to take if you still want to appear warm in your eye look, but not your typical, you know, terracotta orange brown shade. Canela has sparkles in the matte, but man, you can still use that as like your if, again, I just mentioned it, but if you had to go terracotta brown, you got it in through my eyes, so you're fine. And you basically have a metallic that matches its matte counterpart, right? Emerald Dream and Moody, Nocturne with Nostalgia or even Misbehave, Flex with Divina, Loma with Euphoric, Wild Soul with Mesmerize or even Muse or even Nocturne if you want to go that route. There's so much opportunity to mix and match, but just you have a guide. You definitely have a guide, I feel, outlined from the get-go, but no matter how you combine these shades, your eye looks will be beautiful. I want to quickly mention Perception because I feel it's definitely worth a mention. I thought Shayla did a fantastic job arranging these shades, but you know, she put the security blanket transition shade in here because I get it. That's how I feel she likes to do her eyeshadow. She likes to go in with like the brown transition shade first, and then she'll go in with these colors. But I would have loved to see like a different color matte to go with IE or even 14 or even September, you know, because although these will look beautiful on the lid with, what's this called, Culture? Like Culture you can't go wrong with. It's like, if she wanted to put the transition brown in there, she put it in there to satisfy a number of people. I totally understand. But it would have been nice just to have a different colored matte to amplify the boldness of the other shades in here. But I would recommend this for someone who just wants to buy one palette and they like to do the brown transition with the colorful lid route. I totally get it. So this is like honorable mention for slot number 4, but I have to go with Through My Eyes for my number 4 pick for the eyeshadow palettes from Colourpop. I just think it's an outstanding color story, and I just love the colors Karen picked for that palette. So definitely my top. We're up to the last one, folks. What are we going to do? Because this last pick will not discredit any of the eyeshadow palettes still available on the Colourpop website. This is just a guide to kind of help out your shopping needs. My last pick for my top 5 picks, I have to do Salvaje. I know it's a collab. It has nothing to do with Becky G. I didn't even know who Becky G was when this collab was announced, okay? I was just in love with this arrangement. This palette, because it has a mirror, I believe this retails for $16? $18. It was $2 off. Again, 12 shades with the mirror. I just love the design of this palette. I think it's gorgeous. The reason why I went with this is because, again, you just have a wide spectrum of color to play with if you want to stay neutral, if you want to go blue, if you want to go red, or anywhere in between. I used Vibra and Sirena. Oh my gosh, these 2 shades are so gorgeous. They're really easy to use, and they're blue, so don't be scared. You're gonna blend them well. It's gonna be fine. Now, yes, there's not a blue metallic to match up with these shades, but I find that you could put Patrona or Celosa in between, or you could just put Sirena all over your lid and it just be like that matte aqua blue, and use, is it Vibra to buff out the edges of that aqua blue shade. If you have a Super Shock eyeshadow that's blue, you could put that on your lid if you want more twinkle on there. Cafecito is like the best dark brown. I love the intensity and the richness of this matte. This is such a beautiful matte to have. Sangria, if you wanted to go more red wine, you have the option to do that. And if you wanted to buff it out with another color that's not Luna Cafecito, you have Malbec. And just keep the eye look within this color story. And the standout metallic shade, you have Celosa or even Patrona. These are such beautiful shades. Look at that. Oh my God. And then Corona, this gold, like this antique gold, is so shiny and pretty. I know it's not like pow wow wow, but I felt because I have Karen's Through My Eyes palette, that was like my pow wow palette out of the bunch. And this is a good mix between neutral and colorful for me in terms of the arrangement of colors. The other ones I was considering, because there's so many, I was thinking about Give It To Me Straight, because I love that it had plum, mauve, and warm brown in this palette. This was one of my favorites. Definitely love this color story because you know I'm partial to the mauves, and it has a lot of mauve tones in here in the mattes as well as the shimmers and the metallics, but it still has actually is such a pretty like plum deep brown. Look how gorgeous that is. And compared to Cafecito, this definitely has like a little more purple in it and brown purples. I didn't give it to this because I felt this was a little, it's two-dimensional, right? So you can either go brown or purple, but overall when you apply the shades on your lids, they're gonna look similar to me anyway. So that's why I didn't give it that #1 spot. I also didn't give QAF its #1 spot. This was the Natasha Denona Sunset Palette dupe. When this released, everyone lost their mind. You're like, oh my God, that's a Sunset palette from Natasha Denona. And that palette took a really long time to restock. So I feel people were just satisfied with QAF, and you know, you can't sleep on QAF. QAF delivered. They delivered on the Sunset palette story, okay? The standout difference between this and Sunset is that this doesn't have Natasha Denona's like topper high twinkle sparkle shades that formula is exclusive to her. What Colourpop did offer us was their gold metallic. This is before they put the names under the pans. Butter cake, typical gold metallic. Can't go wrong with that. You got the yellow here. You also have the bright orange, and this is really pretty too. You could pair it with any of the orange mattes in there. Gorgeous shade to have. And this, you can't go wrong with this. This is super orange, red, gold, bronzy metallic. I don't feel these shades are like neutral to me. They're punchy and they're rich. Like red, orange, yellow for me doesn't read neutral as much as we just saw like with Give It To Me Straight. I feel this is definitely more neutral in terms of presentation, in terms of the looks you can achieve with this. So although you see orange and brown from the get-go in QAF, I still feel you get a lot more neutral vibe from Give It To Me Straight, or even Double Entendre, or I Think I Love You. Oh my God, I'm messing up my nail polish so bad. I'm gonna have to do this over again. Sweet Talk. I didn't put Sweet Talk in the top 5 because it has glitter in it, and not a lot of people are into glitter. So I felt this was very much a specific type of person, makeup lover, glitter lover to have in their collection. This was in my March favorites, the eyeshadow palette edition, because there were so many. I love this palette because of the Super Shock eyeshadow they included for the first time in an eyeshadow palette, the pressed glitters that they premiered, and the shades. These are like coral. It's just so gorgeous, and I love this palette. I do, but I felt this was for like a specific type of makeup person that, again, if you're into neutrals or you're not into glitter at all, then I'm not going to recommend it. And I feel that's like a niche of people that are into those types of finishes and shades. So that's why I didn't include it in my top 5, but she's one of my favorite, definitely. The other one too I wanted to mention, honorable mention, sorry, Fortune was a really nice palette as well. This was one of their 16 pan palettes. Anytime you have orange with plum, I'm like, I'm done. give it to me. Gold, bronzes, rosy types of metallics. The reason why I didn't go with this is because I felt it wasn't a one color story, but more or less you could go exclusively purple or you could go exclusively bronzy, orange, brown. I just felt there wasn't a lot of variety in here despite it being 16 pans. Like, again, Through My Eyes is variety. This is variety. And compared to Fortune, since I was just cutting it down to 5, you know what I mean? I feel like if I had to pick one 16 pan palette out of all that are offered from Colourpop, I have to give it to Through My Eyes. I love Fortune. I do. I've used it and it's gorgeous and I love those shade combinations. That's all I have to say. There are so many Colourpop eyeshadow palettes and I'm sorry that I didn't mention all of them on this video. Perhaps that's just gonna be another video ranking my favorites from all the ones that I own. I definitely wanted to do this first and just to give you my top 5 picks, because if you just needed to narrow it down to 5 and you could care less about what the other ones are and what other palettes Colourpop has to offer, then hopefully this video helped in that respect. Let me know what your favorite Colourpop palettes are and we'll take it from there. And that, my friends, is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And until then, I'll see you on here again with another tutorial, chit chat, demo, or top 5. Take care and I'll see you again soon. Allergies suck. Oh no, I messed up my nail polish. I was careless. Trying to lift this box. Oh god. I actually have a 3-look video. Then you could go more raw. I was thinking about giving it to me. Give it to me straight. Ooh, I'm running out of arm space. You didn't plan this very well. You forgot to bring your makeup wipes. You know what? Take a break. Get your makeup wipe. Be a smart YouTuber.